Now we're going to look at a little bit further here in chapter 3. We found out that Mordecai would not bow down to Haman, and therefore Haman was getting mad at him, and Haman didn't like him. He had plotted to kill all of the Jews. So let's see how far the plot. Now, this wasn't just the Jews in the land in the city of Susa. This was all of the Jewish people throughout the entire kingdom of 129 provinces that stretched all the way from Ethiopia to yonder and when and back. Okay, um, so let's start with verse 7. In the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, in the first month, the month of Nisan, they cast the pur, P-U-R. Now, this is in the 12th year. Remember that back in chapter 2, that Esther was made queen in the 7th year. So now we add 5 more years. So as far as we know, Mordecai and Haman had been at this thing of not bowing down and getting madder and madder and madder now for another 5 years. 5 years of this. You'd think that eventually they'd get together and Haman would say, listen, old boy, since you're not going to do this or do that, why don't we just, call a truce? And but he didn't do that. He just got madder and madder and madder. And so in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, in the first month, the month of Nisan, they cast the pur, that is the lot. It's a kind of, you might say it's a draw straws, or everybody's, you might say, just throw the rocks or something, in the presence of Haman, to select a day and a month, and the lot fell in the 12th month, the month of Adar. And so it's going to be 12 months from now. We're going to kill all of the Jews in the entire kingdom. Well, you say, well, why have to wait so long? No telephone, no fax machines, no newspapers, no Instagram, no tweeting, none of this. Everything had to be done by hand, sent out, and people walked, rode donkeys or whatever, and they had to cover quite an area. Okay, and so that's why it was so long, partly. Then Haman said to King Ahasuerus, did you know there are a certain people who they're dispersed and scattered throughout your kingdom in all the provinces, whose customs are different than those of all the other people, and they don't obey the king's orders. Wait a minute, the king says. Of course, the king didn't do it like this, but, you're telling me that somebody does not obey my orders? Is it just one guy? And he says, no, it's a whole group of people, an entire race of people. Well, let's see what it really says here. Scattered among the peoples in all the provinces of your kingdoms, whose customs are different from those of the people, those of all the other people who do not obey the king's laws, but it is not in the king's best interest to tolerate them. Verse 9, if it pleases the king, here we go. If it pleases the king, let a decree be issued to destroy them. Well, king, all you got to do is say the word, put your stamp of approval on it, and we can destroy them. And I will put, of course, if you'll let me do this, I'll put 10,000 talents of silver into the royal treasury for the men who carry out this business. Now, that's quite a sum of money. I don't know how big a talent was. I don't know how many pounds it was. But let's just say I'll put $10 million into the royal treasury to pay for these men to go take care of all of these people, to go kill them all. And you said, well, what's the big deal? I mean, you got an army. Yeah, but, it takes a lot of money for an army to eat and drive their vehicles from one place to another and camp and everything. It takes a lot of logistics. You got to feed them, you got to house them, you got to do this and that, and you don't want to hurt the people that's not that you don't want to hurt the people that's obeying. And so he says, I'll even accept the expenses if you'll let me pay for it. Well, that's not such a bad idea to the king. So the king took his signet ring and took it off of his finger and gave it to Haman, son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, the enemy of the Jews. And he says, you keep your money. I don't like them either. You keep your money, King said to Haman, and do with the people as you please. Then on the 13th day of the first month, the royal secretaries were summoned. They wrote out in the script of each province and in the language of each people all Haman's orders in the king's to the king's satraps and the governors of the various provinces and the nobles of all the various people. These were written in the name of King Ahasuerus himself and sealed with his own ring. Dispatches were sent by the couriers to all the king's provinces with the order to destroy, kill, annihilate, and otherwise do away with all the Jews, young and old, women and children, on a single day. The 13th day of the 12th month, the month of Adar. And to plunder their goods, a copy of the text of the edict was to be issued as law in every province and made known to the people of every nationality so that they would be ready for that day. Spurred on by the king's command, the couriers on their horses were sent out, on their donkeys, on their elephants, dog sleds, whatever. They were sent out, and the edict was issued in the citadel of Susa also. And the king and Haman sat down to have a drink. Well, we've done our job. We're going to get rid of all of those people that are causing problems. All because Mordecai would not bow down to Haman, and it wasn't Mordecai. Now just stop and think. Who wanted to be top dog? Wasn't it Haman? I don't like you because you don't think I've got any power anymore. I don't like you. You don't like me. Because I won't bow down to you. Now just think. Isn't pride a little thing that's in there? Sure it is. We'll pick up with chapter 4 in the next one.